You're watching the Coaches Roundtable on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Welcome to Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest. 1982 Butler grad and gymnastics star, went on to the University of Michigan to star in gymnastics, and now for the last 32 years the head coach of the women's gymnastics team, and this year coach of the national champs. Welcome, Bev Plotke. Bev, congratulations on winning that national championship.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
When you look back in your years at Butler there, you won back-to-back WPL championships, back-to-back state championships with Coach Steve Heasley. When you look back, what do you take from those years?
Oh, just, some of the best times of my life. Being able to, as dedicated as I was to the sport of gymnastics, there was limited amount of time for some social life and whatnot, and being part of that high school team and those friendships and those championships that we won are definitely part of the highlights of my youth.
And Bev, you're part of that great coaching tree led by legendary Paul Yorm and then Dave McInnes and Steve Heasley. You are the now anchor of that great coaching tree, and I'd have to say, all the years of my experiences, you're the most successful gymnast ever to come out of Butler for what you've done as head coach for 32 years at Michigan, 24 Big Ten championships, and you've been named Coach of the Year 10 times. That's just great, that connection you have with all those people.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it meant so much to me. I got a very lovely email from Dave McInnes, and it just means a lot when you have people from your hometown that still follow and still pay attention. And it was great to get that. And I just am very honored to be able to be part of that coaching tree, as you said.
Back then, high school gymnastics was so big. I remember going when I was in school and Coach Yorm was a coach, and that gym would be packed with people as it was when you were there. It's a shame as to what has happened with gymnastics at the high school level. How was it that you were recruited to the University of Michigan?
Well, and just to reiterate what you said, it is high school gymnastics. I wish that it was able to thrive. I just think that the setting up, tearing down of equipment isn't really conducive to a high school situation, and so very few people are able to have a gym that's set up full time for gymnastics. But I went to a private club in Washington, Pennsylvania, and my parents drove me for years, 75 miles to Washington, PA, and we would train 6 hours and drive 75 miles home. And so the largest majority of recruiting to collegiate programs happens from out of the USA gymnastics programs rather than out of the high schools. And so primarily that's where my recruiting took place. And, I was very fortunate to be able to have the support of my family to take me all the way to Washington 6 days a week.
Well, suffice to say, you went to Ann Arbor and you evidently fell in love with the place, and you've been there ever since.
Yeah, somebody asked me a few years ago, what was an interesting fact about myself? And, that's one of the hardest questions. I don't know that there's very much that's terribly interesting about me, but we started talking about, I don't have a lot of hobbies or whatnot, but came up with he was asking, where have you been? And I said, well, I graduated from college and I've been here. And so that was really kind of the interesting fact, is that this is the one and only, I say, real job that I've ever had. And I was hired very young, 23 years old, to be the head coach here at the University of Michigan. And I've been here ever since. So 32 years later, and finally the the cherry on the top of the cake with the national championship.
Bev, I've heard that since COVID, a number of colleges have dropped the gymnastic programs. Do all Big Ten schools maintain a gymnastic program?
Yes, for the women's programs. And some of the programs that I've heard that have been dropped have been men's programs. And I know that University of Minnesota dropped their men's program this year, and that was really unfortunate. So, I don't know whether there's any chance that they would reconsider that decision or not, but so far the women's programs have stayed intact.
Well, you have such a powerful program at Michigan. So with the high schools, I guess it's all gone to the club sports. How do you do your recruiting to get the girls to come to Michigan?
Well, it's about to start up again now on June 1st. We've gone an entire year without being able to be on the road to do any recruiting. So this past year, it's all been by video, film, tapes and stuff that recruits have sent to us in all the forms that they do now via email and social messaging and all that kind of stuff. But, we are all over the country in a typical year, flying in and going and visiting private club gyms all over, as well as attending. There are a lot of major championship meets now, whether it's the elite programs and national team, or whether it's, age group competition, a big invitational, but we're on planes all over the country and in private clubs everywhere.
And speaking of recruiting, a few years ago, we mentioned on our show one of your prize gymnasts from Knock High School, Natalie Bilstein, who won a Big Ten championship for you. How did you come to recruit Natalie to Michigan?
Well, I had gotten some information from Steve about Natalie, and it came out to, first we, went, saw some competitions and saw some video. I came back to Butler into the gym and saw her training and talked to Steve a little bit, and it ended up working out, and she was a phenomenal talent for us during her career at the University of Michigan. And now recently I just saw on Facebook that she got engaged. So happy for her that she's doing so well.
Bev, I would have to say, with 24 Big Ten championships, you're the most successful coach in Ann Arbor. As Jim Harbaugh asked you to come and give him some help with the football program?
I don't think Jim Harbaugh needs any help. I think he's doing a fine job on his own. And, sometimes you go through highs and sometimes you go through lows. And I know he and his staff are working very hard to make sure that they get things, back in line. And nobody's more anxious to do that than Jim himself. So he's got my full support.
Well, Bev, I could tell you Ann Arbor's on my bucket list. I love going to college campuses. I've heard nothing but great things about Ann Arbor. I'd love to get up there and see your gymnastic team and go to the big house for a football game one of these days.
Well, I would love to have you come on campus and show you around.
I'm going to take you up on that. Hey, Bev, congratulations once again. Big Ten Coach of the Year, national champions at the University of Michigan for the women's gymnastic program. You're doing a great job, and good luck to you in the future, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'll be right back with Ellen George.
High school sports, community events, all of your favorite local shows are calling the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel their home. Find out everything your neighborhood has to offer on Channel 100 or on YouTube. Spirit, town pride, local communities. This is the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
I am back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left the Tiger Albert Campman. Let's go to Spotlight. We're going to start with honors. All-State basketball, boys 6A. Junior guard Devin Carney of Butler, first team 6A. Carney averaged 29.6 points per game. He had 3 games, 40-plus points. The offers are pouring in from St. Francis, Duquesne, Robert Morris, George Mason, Drexel, and yet nothing from Pitt. I would expect Pitt. They offered Rodney Gallagher from Laurel Highlands, a 6-foot guard who averages about 18 points a game. I'm kind of surprised they haven't offered anything to Carney.
I'm not. People I've talked to said that Gallagher's the best athlete they've seen come through here in many.
Well, I'm not.
Carney's a really good basketball player.
Yeah.
And a really good scorer. He can score a variety of ways. But when you're playing all 2-3 zones and not playing, And hopefully they'll see him play defense in AAU. And if he defends somebody there and can defend the best players in the country, I think Pitt will come in after him. I just know the guy.
I just think the way Pitt's been hurting and losing recruits that you'd want to grab a couple of the best, at least around here. What do they have to lose? They've had 5 straight losing seasons.
No, that's what they can't.
That's my
They
thinking.
can't do that because if you just do that, just grab somebody.
You recruiting to beat Duke? You
Yes.
recruiting to beat Virginia?
That's who you're recruiting to beat.
Well,
Is it Gallagher fits that bill.
they're not going to get those players to beat those teams. Can you get 1 or 2 of the best players around here? That's what I'm saying. I've seen the kid play. You've seen him play. He's 5'11". He can dunk the ball. I'm just saying, what would it hurt for them to recruit a player like him?
You asked me about between Gallagher and him.
Yeah.
They're 2 different players.
Well, I know Gallagher's been offered in football too.
Yeah,
He has
he's a
multiple
super
offers in football.
Athlete. He's a super athlete.
All right, let's move on to 5A. Making first team, junior guard Michael Wells out of Newcastle led the Canes to the WPL championship. Wells averaged 18 points per game. For the girls 6A, making the first team and named 6A Player of the Year, Lizzie Gresh of North Allegheny. Gresh, the Penn recruit, averaged 16 points per game, leading the Tigers to the WPIL and state titles. And North Allegheny coach Spencer Stefko, he was named 6A Coach of the Year, making third team 6A Paige Morningstar and Jasmine Timerson of North Allegheny. In 3A, Ashton Pry of Montauk named to third team. Pry averaged 19.9 points a game, 14.2 rebounds. She's headed to BC3 to play basketball. Second team 3A, Paige Julian of Mohawk. And first team in 1A, Corianne Hauser and Alexis Robinson of Rochester. Unusual to have a backcourt make it first team. Those 2 girls are really good.
Yeah, they've carried them since they were freshmen all the way through. They've been great.
Yeah, back-to-back WPL champ. I think Hauser comes back next year. I'm not sure about Robinson. It seems like we've been talking about her for years,
for a while.
for a long time. Baseball top performances. How about this effort by pitcher Branson Carson of Montauk? He went 5 1/3 innings, struck out 15 in a 4-3 win over Brookville. Did not get the win, but what an effort. Pitcher Brady Palmer of North Allegheny, a 3-hitter with 6 Ks in an 8-1 win over Butler. Pitcher Kyle Demme of North Allegheny, a 2-hit, 11-0 shutout win over Butler. Pitcher Alex Havener of Mars, a no-hitter with 11 strikeouts in a 13-0 win over Woodland Hills. Brady Thompson of Montauk, 3 hits. Trey Wagner of Mars, 3 hits. Pitcher Christian Hartman of Freeport, a 2-hit shutout win over Karn City. He also had 3 hits. And Mitchell Schultz of Mars, 3 hits and 5 RBI. Softball, Livia Vasari of Knock, 3 hits. Pitcher Sidney Selker of Freeport, a 3-hitter with 9 Ks and a 3-1 win over McKeesport. Pitcher Izzy Rule of Seneca Valley, a 4-hitter with 7 Ks and a 2-1 win over Pine Richland. And on the other side there for Pine Richland, their pitcher Gabby Ogden, in a losing performance, she only gave up 3 hits in that 2-1 loss to Seneca Valley. Jessica Dunn of Karn City, 4 hits. Taylor Davis of Knock, 3 hits. Emily Staub of Montauk, 3 hits. Abby DeHitas of Freeport, 3 hits and 4 RBI. Emily Schmidt of Freeport, 3 hits. And the high school track boys, Guinness Brown continues his dominance for Butler, winning the 100, 200, and 400 in a victory over Seneca Valley. C.J. Singleton of Butler won the 1,600 to 3,200 and a member of the winning 3,200 relay team. David Stam of Montauk, the shot, discus, and javelin. For the girls, Ellie Morrow of Butler, 4 first, the 100, 200, a member of the 400 winning relay team, and a long jump in a victory over Seneca Valley. Emma Lehman of Butler, the 100 and 300 hurdles, and a member of the 400 winning relay team, and Hannah Burgoon of Montauk, the 1,600, the 800, and a member of the winning 1,600 relay team. Team WPL Team Championships start this week. I think the Butler boys and girls are the favorites. I think the main competition comes from anywhere, at least from what I'm seeing for the Butler boys, would be from Norwin, but they would have to have a powerful field leaders, because I don't think they have anyone to overcome Brown and Singleton.
Yeah, and you get first place in every one of those events. Yeah, and
Those two guys.
Butler also has depth. So
Yeah.
that combination, getting first in depth, unless there's injuries, they're not beating Butler.
And girls lacrosse, North Allegheny Tigers rolling along. They won 9 straight. Scal DePredo, she had 7 goals, and Lola White had 4 goals for the Tigers. And volleyball, Landon Strawn of Butler, 43 assists. Tyler Gillis of Butler, 17 kills. College softball, Freeport grad Ashley Schmidt She hurled a no-hitter for Penn State Barron. And pro football news, former Slippery Rock University quarterback Roland Rivers, he signs a free agent contract with the Steelers. Nice to see him get a tryout.
If he's any good, he's going to make it because they're desperate for quarterbacks. They got four. That's five. That's five they now they have on their roster.
6'3", 230. He's a big kid. He's got a strong arm.
Coach Lutz loved him.
Yeah, he did.
Loved him. Thought he couldn't surprised he couldn't get a better shot.
Our stories of the week: National Hockey League, the Penn sweep Washington, a 5-4 win in overtime on Jake Gensel's goal to clinch a playoff berth for the 15th consecutive year. That's just amazing. Kasper Kapanen had 2 goals. Then a 3-0 win over the Caps, 2 goals by Brian Rush and Tristan Jarry, another shutout, 2 in the past week. And then they go to play the Flyers, and they get whacked 7-2 on a return by Malkin. This is what concerns me. They've had these blips defensively where they've given up 7 goals, 8 goals that occur. I don't know if some of this is attributed to fatigue or not, but they have 3 games left, 1 more with the Flyers and 2 with Buffalo. They're now tied for first with Washington, both with 71 points.
For them, it's attention to detail. It's always been that way. And when you beat Washington 2 in a row, it's really hard to keep that focus. It's just the way it is in sports. And you hate to say it, but in the 7-game series in the Stanley Cup, you can't lose your attention. You got to be ready for every game.
Now these last 3 games become important. You'd like to win that division, get a little break in the seeding and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see what happens down there. Major League Baseball, the Pirates 12-16, 5 straight losses, back-to-back shutout losses to the Cardinals 3-0, and then the San Diego 2-0. They wasted a great pitching performance. The Cardinals just own the Pirates, having won 20 of the last 26 meetings with the Pirates. I keep hearing this commentary from sports people in Pittsburgh about this being a rebuilding year for the Pirates. Rebuilding. I don't know. What's the rebuilding?
Well,
that means they're going to keep everyone and make a run and add to the team if you're rebuilding.
Yeah.
I just know they stink.
You see that?
Yeah, it sounds like to me they went on low guys in July.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how do you say that this is rebuilding? That term should not be used in Pittsburgh. You can use it some other places. I don't think that term belongs in the same sentence with the Pirates.
Yeah, true Pirate fans, you shouldn't be following the Pirates. You should be following Altoona. You should follow because all their their so-called great players are all in Altoona. They've loaded up that team. If they're as good as they should be, they should dominate that league. We're going to find out.
If you're interested in the new Major League Baseball franchise, if they should ever expand, it costs you $2.2 billion.
Yeah.
That's where it's going.
George, what's your lines about the
Everybody talks about how bad it was, no fans, this and I don't see any teams for sale.
Yeah.
Would you have thought someone would
What's
sell?
he getting out? The Pirates are making money.
Oh.
If you go percentage of profitability, as they showed in Forbes
Absolutely.
magazine,
Yeah.
the Pirates are right up there with the Yankees.
Absolutely.
The Yankees spend all this money.
And
they
he's
get
got
hammered
money
with
too, the
tax.
owner. Don't think he doesn't have money.
We're talking the percentage of profitability. I'm not saying
Absolutely.
that they make the money that the
Absolutely.
Yankees do, but
No.
they don't have the expenditures either. Hey, happy birthday to the Say Hey kid. Willie Mays turns 90 this week. My favorite player.
I got a great Willie Mays story, real quick. He was playing rec ball in Birmingham. The blacks weren't allowed to play back then. He was 15, and he's just killing it. And Feinbaum must have been at the game as a kid or something, and he says to this old timer, he said, "Man, that Willie Mays," he says, "I've never seen anybody like him." He says, "He's amazing." The guy said, "I have." He said, "Who?" He said, "Willie's daddy."
Hey.
See, he wasn't allowed to play back then. Jim Crow laws.
Right. I saw him play at Forbes Field many times, and one night he's in center field. He cuts off a hit to right center, throws the runner out at third, cuts off a hit to left center, throws the runner out at third. That's all you had to know about him. You could talk about great arms. He had a great arm and a very accurate arm, too.
just happened this past Sunday, not knowing you're going to bring that up. My grandson was playing center field. He made a nice catch, and I hollered out at him, "Nice play, Willie Mays." And there was 3 people next to me that were like 25 or 30 years old. They said, "Who's he?"
Yeah.
That's how sad it is that I looked at him and said, "Well, it's no use me telling you."
That's how old you are.
Yeah, I said.
Hey, real quick.
About my grandson knew. That's the best part. My grandson knew.
Hey,
You know, Willie married a girl from Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
She passed away a few
And how about
years
this,
ago.
too? In New York, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
Yes.
They
Oh,
were
yeah.
all there at the
All
same
at the same
time.
time.
And Mays and Mantle, both born in 1930, 31. Elroy Face tells the story. He comes in relief. They're beating the Giants 4-1. Mays was 0 for 4 coming to the plate, and the catcher Hank Foyles calls for a curveball, which wasn't one of Face's best pitches. He throws it, and Mays parks it into Shenley Park. So Foyles comes out to the mound and says, well, he said, I have to tell you, Willie was hitless for the night, and I told him you were throwing him a curveball.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go to the NFL draft. According to all 32 NFL general managers, all their teams are better.
All A's.
Right
All
now.
A's.
All A's. Everyone gets an A.
Doesn't that frustrate you, Eddie?
I know.
Frustrates me.
It just does. And out of the 259 players drafted, here's what I'm thinking as we looked at it down over the years. What percentage of them will be around in 5 years?
Not many.
Maybe 35%,
But the-
40%.
Well, less than 33.
But the
I'd
worst, turning that around is how many free agents will make it and stay around.
That the 5th and 6th round
Yes.
picks and some of the free agents will make it once again because I'm being repetitive here. It's an inexact science. You just don't know what you're getting. And so the Steelers pick at number 24. They pick running back Najee Harris out of Alabama. I still think they missed out. The guy I wanted them to take was taken number 23 by Minnesota, right ahead of the Steelers, and that was Christian Darrisaw, the best pass blocking tackle in the draft. And here's the way I look at it. Don't get me wrong. Harris is a tremendous talent, but they're going to be 17 games played. The times have changed. The only exception is Derrick Henry, the workhorse. Today, to give it back 20, 25 carries every game, 350 to 400 carries, you're talking about a 3-year career where these offensive linemen, they often play 10 to 12 to 13 years in the NFL. That was my thinking. I'm not saying he was a bad pick. I'm just saying I don't think they addressed that need at left tackle that is so crucial. Second round, they get tight end Pat Freiermuth out of Penn State, big horse. So now you have 2 tight ends. Ebron's one of Ben's favorite, 56 catches. What are we going to see here offensively?
They want to run the ball. They want to go 2 tight ends. They want to run them. You know, we talked about that. That's nice for you, Eddie. You love believing in running the ball.
Yeah.
I just think you never draft a first-round pick with a running back. I don't.
I don't
believe
either
it.
with so many.
I don't believe in it. I think you look at the Super Bowls. If you tell me what the last Super Bowl that the running back was the key to the team, I can't remember. Any time that said that.
And I can remember that 4th-teamer for the 49ers just running right
Moser,
through.
yep.
But
And that's why I give Minnesota, I was talking to George, they got Darrisaw, and then they got one of the best blocking guards, Wyatt Davis, out of Ohio State, whose grandfather, Hall of Famer Willie Davis from Green Bay. They got 2 of the best linemen in the draft.
That's the way I would go too. I'm agreeing with you, Eddie. I wish they would have drafted the first 5. They did take some linemen later on, which I was happy.
They took Kendrick Green.
I'm very happy about that.
And Dan Moore.
I wonder who saw the dude at Illinois play, because they're always the noon game on ESPN at Minnesota. I know nobody saw Illinois play.
I don't know that did they have a running
That's
attack?
what I'm saying.
And-
This guy's the guy they say can play both places.
They did take a couple linebackers. They rave about Quincy Roche coming out of Miami, but they didn't address a lot of the depth they needed in the secondary or the offensive tackle position. So I'm giving them a B-. Where actually every team is like graduate school. They should get an incomplete. You don't know what's going to happen till the final exams and you
years.
turn in the research.
No, but your thing on
paper.
Henry is a good point. There aren't any other running backs carrying 40 times
And how
a
long
game.
is he going to last?
And there are 17 ball games next year, too. Don't
What did
forget.
Henry carry last year? 400 times?
Oh, yeah.
There's a statistic out there when a ball carrier carries over 350 times, his career suddenly drops off.
And that's why the only positive I do is Harris didn't carry the ball in Alabama until last year. Last year and a half. So he is a fresh guy. He hasn't carried the ball from his freshman year to his junior year. He's fresh. I still would rather have somebody else.
It's running by committee. is the trend
what they do
in the
today.
NFL. Look at some of the other draft picks in the division, guys. We think Cleveland got two very fast wide receivers, Anthony Schwartz out of Auburn, and this Demetrius Felton out of UCLA is one of the best kept secrets around. And then they add, some say, maybe the best defensive back, Greg Newsome out of Northwestern, and the third or second best linebacker, depending who you talk to, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame.
Well, Cleveland's on the upswing, and anybody can just fit in and help, because their team's almost set except for the secondary. They're still trying to fill their secondary.
Yeah.
Other positions are almost set.
And Cincy impresses me. They got a teammate for Burrows, Jamar Chase. We all said the best receiver coming on, but they added 3 offensive linemen. They addressed that need. 2 big tackles in Jackson Carman out of Clemson and Deontay Smith, East Carolina. Plus, they get one of the best centers in Trey Hill out of Georgia.
I had them in the top 5 in the draft. I thought Cincinnati really hit it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And Baltimore, I give them around a C+. They did get 2 wide receivers, Rashard Bateman, pretty good, Minnesota,
Yeah.
and Tylen Wallace out of Oklahoma State. But the rest of the guys were kind of iffy picks.
I did.
to
I
me
like
for
Baltimore. They were in my top 5 too, because I think Creed Humphrey is the best offensive lineman in the draft. I've said all along he's going to come in and be all pro.
Baltimore doesn't make many mistakes.
No. Jacksonville, you're going to give them an A with Lawrence and then his teammate
Etienne.
Travis Etienne, and then they get a good cornerback in Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. And you know who else? I put him at the top, maybe right behind Jacksonville is Denver with Patrick Surtain, the cornerback out of Alabama, and my running back that I like, Javonte Williams out of North Carolina.
I like Javonte Williams too.
And you can't fault Minnesota. I know you say they fell, but boy, when you get these two kind of
absolutely.
offensive, and they have running backs.
I don't know what will go wrong, but somehow Cousins will throw a ball to the other team. I can't explain it. Every year I look and I go, this is their year.
New England and Kansas City, I give them B pluses. New England got really good defensive linemen in Christian Barmore of Alabama and Ronnie Perkins out of Oklahoma. And they got a steal at running back there, the guy you like too, George, and Ramondre Stevenson out of Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, they got, once again, can Cam Newton do it? Because last year it didn't appear that he could.
And some say the Chiefs got the second best linebacker, Nick Bolton out of Missouri, right after
Tackling
Micah
machine.
Parsons.
Didn't he lead the?
Machine.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best run. He is the best run linebacker.
And don't forget, in that league, he's playing big boy football.
And they've redone their offensive line, and they add the Creed Humphrey out
That's
of
the guy I love. I
Oklahoma
told
at
you.
center. And then they snatched one of the best receiving tight ends in college football, Noah Gray out of Duke.
How about you help me out there? It was Kansas City, not Baltimore, got Creed
Yeah.
Humphrey. That's why I had Kansas City.
That's why I gave
Thank you.
Baltimore a C+.
That's right. I thought they had Creed Humphrey.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just passing Las Vegas, their number 1 pick, Alex Leatherwood. Is he a good run blocker? Yes, but he's not a good pass
He
blocker.
stinks as a pass blocker.
And they take 3 safeties. Now, they have needed help
guys,
along the
listen.
offensive line. They
I'm
lost
telling
4
you
guys.
about these guys.
Bad.
You know
How
what
much
they
money is
want?
Gruden to make, George?
$100 million. All they want you to think they're smarter than you are. They do this kind of stuff all the time and get away with it.
And who's in trouble? Seattle. I give them a D+, just 3 picks. No help for a weak defense. In Houston, they take number 1 quarterback David Mills out of Stanford. No help at running back. No help at wide receiver. No help for their defense.
Well, we're going to find out. Because somewhere along the line, somebody who thinks good is not going to make it. And somebody we have nobody who it is yet.
Did Seattle get my guy from Western Michigan?
Yeah.
They got one guy that can play, I'm telling you.
And finally for you, the Kentucky Derby, the winner, Medina Spirit, 12-1 odds.
Hold, I got to say real quick. I gave the 8 and he gave the 7 and we both lost. How, I don't know.
Hey, the 7th Derby winner for trainer Bob Baffert. So who has a better chance of winning their 8th title next year?
Oh.
Tom Brady or Bob Baffert?
Absolutely.
Ain't that the truth?
Hey, that's it for us. We run out of time. We'll see you next week.